Hello everybody, this is Hybrid, and today I'm doing character wise for Superior Spider-Man. I know a lot of people want to know about Superior Spider-Man because a lot of people know who he is, but they don't know about him. They don't know how Superior Spider-Man came to be. They just heard about it and they're like, oh no, it's not Peter Parker, thus it must be bad. So hopefully I'll explain it to you in a way where you'll be somewhat interested in reading the comic. You'll know about the character, but at the same time, you will be more, I guess, even grounded because a lot of people don't know anything about the character. And I'm one of those guys who I love complex characters, and Doc Ock is a very complex character, a very tragic story too. Essentially, he's Peter Parker, but without Uncle Ben. Yeah, it's kind of interesting the way it goes. And I've always loved Doc Ock as a villain because my first Spider-Man comic was the Master Planner story arc. So ever since that, I've always considered him the number one villain for Spider-Man, and then Green Goblin as second. And if you don't believe me, look way back on my channel when I did my 100th video anniversary, whatever, because I do my top Spider-Man villains, and the first one is Doc Ock, and that's way before any of this happened. So yeah, but anyways, let's get into his stuff. So real name Otto Gunther Octavius. Now I'm not considering Superior Spider-Man's real name to be Peter Parker, considering he's not really Peter Parker, he's Doc Ock in Peter Parker's body. If you notice, I changed the powers part to abilities. I'm going to leave it as abilities for the rest of the character bios. That is because I feel some things like being an engineer, being a master combatant, a scientist, that's not a power, that's an ability you have, technically. So I feel like abilities is a much more better word to use and encompasses the actual things about the character that makes them unique, and it gives you guys, the viewers, more information on the character. Now, equipment, he has web shooters slash web fluid, utility belt, suit, and spider bots. Now, Peter Parker also had the web shooters, fluid, and utility belt. He did kind of have spider bots, but not as prominent as Superior Spider-Man spider bots. And also the suit. While Peter Parker's suit doesn't really count as equipment because his suit was just like, regular suit. Doc Ock's suit has some pretty cool gear in it, and I'll get into that when I get into the equipment part of this video. And weaknesses: powerful opponents, forces, pesticides, and ego. Now, I'll get more into that weaknesses, but really quickly, someone told me powerful forces slash opponents isn't a weakness. I'm pretty sure it's a weakness. Like, yes, it's a generic weakness, but it's still a weakness. Like, you fight someone who's more powerful than you, you're going to lose to them. Unless you can outsmart them in a way, and that's a weakness to your character. So, let's go into his origin. And I apologize in advance if it's kind of long, but I'm going from Doc Ock as a kid to, Superior Spider-Man. So, let's begin. So, Otto Octavius grew up in, and forgive me if I mispronounce this, Schenectady. Basically grew up in New York to a loving mom but an abusive father. Throughout his youth, he struggled to fit in with others but excelled in his academics, thus making him very reclusive to other people. In college, he majored in nuclear radiation, but graduating top of his class at Empire State University, which is the same college Peter Parker went to. After college, though, he went to work at the Atomic Research Institute, where he manipulated radioactive materials with four metal arms. As you can see in the picture, that's, he's just kind of talking about his arms a little bit. That's taken from a classic Spider-Man comic, by the way. He appeared really early on, if you didn't know. I think it's Amazing Spider-Man number 3 is his first appearance. Do not quote me on that, but I think that's what it is. Now, during an accident, some liquids he was working with exploded, exposing Otto to a lot of radiation. As a result, the metal arms became attached to his body, which now he could control with his mind, and he also received some brain damage, which is, he was in an explosion, so that's kind of, I guess, assumed, and supposedly that made him clinically crazy, which led him to be a supervillain. But anyways, damaged mentally and physically, he became a supervillain. So Otto Octavius became a bad guy, essentially, and as Doc Ock, which was his nickname actually with the arms in the first place, but now he is a supervillain called Doc Ock, Doctor, Octopus, etc. He was not only a physical match with the arms for Spider-Man, but an intellectual match too, because he was a genius, obviously. Anyways, he became one of Spider-Man's greatest foes. Like I said earlier, I personally think that Doc Ock is the greatest foe for Spider-Man, and he led the Sinister Six. He plotted as a master planner. Also, he almost married not Mary Jane. He also almost married Aunt May, so that's kind of awkward. And even was killed by Kane one time, but was later on revived. So eventually, after years of receiving, brutal attacks and fighting superhuman beings, Doc Ock's body was starting to fail. Because you gotta think about it, the only thing somewhat superhuman about him are those arms. He still has a regular human body, and he's fighting beings ranging from like the Hulk to Spider-Man, the Avengers, essentially. Like he's fighting so many beings. He's taking all these like energy blasts, regular punches, cuts, you name it. Doc Ock has probably taken it. So it makes sense his body would start failing. And actually, I have to give him props for making the storyline where his body's like failing. Because that's really clever. Because they have to admit, some of these characters, not all of them have superhuman durability. So there should be some kind of long-term effect. But to combat this, I guess, failing body, he created a new suit slash harness to keep him alive for the next few months because he was diagnosed with a few months to live. And then he began his greatest master plan yet, which actually it was started in Amazing Spider-Man number 600. Not officially started, but that's where it kind of began. And obviously, it ended with Amazing Spider-Man number 700, which props out to Dan Slott, who wrote 600 and 700, obviously, because that's 2009, I believe. 600 was written, and thing that happened in 700 was 2012. So that's like a good 3 years of story kind of all coming together in one plot that no one really thought about or pieced together. So hats off to him. I know a lot of you guys might not like Dan Slott, but you gotta admit that's pretty clever writing right there. So using a golden Octobot, Dr. Octopus swapped brains with Peter Parker. The idea supposedly, or not the idea, but it started kind of actually when in 600, Peter Parker used one of Doc Ock's equipment that had to do with your brain and stuff. And from there, the whole thing with the brains started happening. But with the golden Octobot, the brains were fully swapped with Peter Parker and Otto Octavius, leaving Peter Parker inside Doc Ock's dying body and leaving Doc Ock in Peter Parker's healthy, superhuman body. So Doc Ock and Peter's body eventually actually came to visit Peter in Doc Ock's dying body. I know this is really confusing, to explain the master plan, which is how we all know how it happened. And essentially, Doc Ock won. So that's kind of interesting. Peter in Doc Ock's body obviously escapes in search of Octavius to fight him and hopefully get back his body. A lot of people thought in 700 he would have won and gotten his body back. The hero always wins. But it turns out in the end, Doc Ock won, and Peter even tried using the golden Octobot again, but Doc Ock was planned for that, so it didn't work. And the only thing that happened though is Peter was able to share his memories with Otto Octavius before he died. And what basically he did was he shared all of his memories and all of his experiences, and Doc Ock kind of relived them all as if it was him doing it. The whole great power, great responsibility thing, Otto Octavius lived that, and essentially after doing that, he promised to Peter Parker that he'll continue to protect everybody like he did. He'll honor his legacy, his life, etc. as the superior Spider-Man. As you can see there, he's swinging, saying, "I'm the superior Spider-Man and I will be free." So that's all for Origins. I basically just condensed a few decades of history into a few minutes of talking. So I hope you guys get the general picture. If you guys message me, I guess I could be more specific, or you could pick up. Basically, all you really need to know for the origin of Superior Spider-Man is Amazing Spider-Man issues number 3, if that's his first appearance, 698, 699, 700, and all the Superior Spider-Man issues, because they have some flashbacks every once in a while. Now his abilities. Otto as Spider-Man has superhuman strength, speed, senses, reflexes, durability, agility, wall crawling, and healing, as well as being an engineer, master combatant, and scientist. Now a lot of you guys might be confused about some of these, so I'm going to try explaining all of them. Obviously superhuman strength, speed, durability, reflexes, agility, wall crawling, and healing. That's all just from Peter Parker's body in general. Also spider sense goes with the senses. As you can see there in the right picture, one of the Daredevil comics written by Mark Waid, an amazing series, I gotta say. But Daredevil is going behind to attack Spider-Man. Spider-Man's spider sense went off. He grabbed Daredevil's leg before Daredevil could hit him, and he throws Daredevil across the room. In the far left picture, Wolverine touched Doc Ock, and whenever someone touches Doc Ock, for some reason, Doc Ock just does something to him. So he grabs Wolverine, beats him up a bit, and ends it off with slamming him into the ground, knocking out Wolverine actually. So it kind of shows his fighting skills. Also, Doc Ock has access to all of Peter Parker's memories. Not anymore though, but it seems like the memories he did access before he officially wiped Peter Parker out of the body, it seems like all those memories he still knows, just not any other memories that he didn't access. But Peter Parker, obviously, he has the whole way of the spider kung fu thing going on, so Doc Ock knows that. A scientist, engineer, that's all from Doc Ock, and also Peter too, but mostly Doc Ock. As you can see in the middle picture, you have Doc Ock late all night, designing a new suit, designing things for the suit, making the suit. So it kind of shows his inventiveness, if that makes any sense. And that kind of sums it up. Like, it's pretty much all the abilities Peter Parker had, just, I guess, for some of the things, like some scientific fields, they're enhanced a bit. And for engineering, it's much more active. Because, yes, Peter did make stuff, but Doc Ock is constantly making stuff. And a lot of it shows in the equipment part, which is next. So, Superior Spider-Man uses web shooters, web fluid, a utility belt, suit, and spider bots. Now, web shooters, web fluid, they're all standard issue. Utility belt, Peter Parker used one too. It's essentially just, it has like a spider searchlight, but also it has web cartridges on the belt of it. And that's really all it's there for, is to store extra web fluid cartridges. And then we have the spider bots, as you can see in the right picture he's holding up, which can act as surveillance. They can shock an opponent. They can report crimes, things like that, to the proper authorities or Superior Spider-Man himself. And also, if a lot of them get together, they can make a force field bubble. So that's pretty cool. Now, the suit, as you can see in the far left picture, has a few things to it. Most noticeably, it has claws on the fingertips and on the boots. Now, I do know he's getting a new suit soon, but that's not yet. So, and there's really not many pictures of it. And we don't know much about what the new suit's going to be able to do at all compared to the old Superior Spider-Man suit. So I decided, for the sake of this video, I just leave the one he's currently using as of me making this video / recording this video. Now the lenses though, they can do different things. They can have different different lens views, from like polarized view, regular view, X-ray view, infrared view, heat view. You can, if there is a kind of like lens viewing you can have, Superior Spider-Man can pretty much get it in its lenses. So that's the special thing about them, besides the fact that they extrude a little bit. And the spider emblem in the center, he can press it to initiate certain pre-programmed plans with the spider bots. So I know there's one that he has where, against the Vulture actually, where he pressed it, is like something Epsilon or something, like program Epsilon or something like that. And basically what happened was a spider bot went to the spider signal J. Jonah Jameson made, surged the power on it, so it shined so brightly that it actually kind of hurt you, if that makes any sense. Like, that's how much energy it was outputting. And in turn, Doc Ock's lenses became polarized to protect his eyes, and Vulture obviously didn't have that, so he was screwed. And yeah, that's how he defeated the Vulture and Superior Spider-Man number 3. I want to say Amazing Spider-Man so bad, but it's Superior Spider-Man. And let's go to his weaknesses. Now, his weaknesses are powerful opponents, forces, pesticides, and his ego. The biggest weakness is probably his ego. The less known weakness is probably pesticides. Pesticides, like the ones you use against other spiders, I guess. I know some people get really freaked out about bugs and everything. They have a bunch of pesticides. Use enough of that against Spider-Man, and it will harm him, because obviously his biology is somewhat like a spider's. And his weaknesses, powerful opponents / forces. Obviously, it's the most generic weakness you can have, but basically it says if someone's stronger and faster, smarter than you, whatever, can shoot energy blasts you can't, and it can hurt you, there you go. That's a weakness of yours. You don't. If that makes any sense, like Green Goblin and his kind of minions, the Sinister Six, as you could kind of see in the far left, Scorpion, the Vulture, and I think his name is Boomerang or something. But yeah, so just examples, and also his ego. As you can see in the far right picture, it's just one panel of it. But the Avengers wanted to test Spider-Man because he's been acting weird, obviously. Captain America touches Spider-Man, well, first off, Spider-Man's like, I don't have time for your infantile game and everything. Get out of my way. You're wasting my time, etc. I'm above this. And Captain America touches him, and due to his ego, he's like, "Don't touch me, you flag-waving imbecile!" And he throws Captain America across the room and has a brief moment against the Avengers. So that's it for weaknesses, and that's pretty much it for this video, honestly. I hope it helped you guys. I tried not making it too long, even though there was a lot to say. So if I skipped anything in particular you wanted me to say, just comment below and I'll reply to you. I'll always reply to your comment unless it's something really stupid, in my opinion at least. Uh, as always, send your suggestions down below. I'm getting a lot of suggestions for characters like Swamp Thing. I'm letting White Sheep do Star-Lord. I think the next one I might do is the Spectre, maybe? Either the Spectre or another character I haven't mentioned yet. You never know. I never know, personally, honestly, unless I actually make it. But yeah, anything's pretty much up for grabs. I'm thinking about making Deadpool, considering it, Wolverine too, but a lot of times those characters have super complex, weird retconned origins, and it's hard to find the one that's being used. But please be patient, guys. I hope this helped. This is Hybrid. Please subscribe, comment, and like, and I'll see you guys later.